So here I am walking up the Maritsa Boulevard in Oresh, which is the road where my house is. You're going to hear a lot of noise from the drone because it is tracking me as I walk up the lane, but it's doing it from far too near. I haven't got used to the settings yet, so I don't know how to make it work from further away. It can be done, but it's only about, I don't know, the most 2 meters away at the moment. Anyway, I'm walking up the lane. If I move over here, it should... Gosh, that was quite a swing. You better come back over here. There's tall grass there. All right then, you're going to follow me now. There's some strange things. Now, taking pictures into the sun is not what we really want to do, so let me turn around again. That's going to follow me down sideways now. Now, it's not behaving particularly well, and we were sitting in a bar yesterday and a firmware update came through, and I actually applied it while I was drinking beer, but as you may guess, that seemed a little bizarre to us. We were sitting outside the Versailles Hotel on a table with a couple of drinks on it and a drone in the middle that was powered up and updating itself over the internet. Today I'm flying the drone over the roof of my house to see how it survived the winter. There's a few glitches that probably need some attention, but we also need the roof at the back finishing off around the edges and the timbers cutting and the drain pipes putting in. A few jobs up top anyway, and as we're approaching another winter, probably give it a complete review next spring to see what needs doing. While we're up at this height, it seems a good idea to have a look round at the scenery, get an aerial view of where we're located, and realise once again that we've located ourselves in a really nice area. Well, here I am at my house in Oresh, near Svishtov, and it's only been a couple of months since I was here, and I had a couple of gardeners clear all this, but as you can see, it grows back very quickly. In fact, luckily Colin had some shears in his car because we were having trouble getting through the gate and coming up the path to get onto the land in the first place. But we've now cleared away, so we got this far. Because the gardeners that we used are no longer living in the village, we're talking to someone else today who's going to meet us here shortly and discuss all this growth. We've got some spare building materials around the back there, but can't get to them at the moment. So I thought the skip was going to be the first job in the clearance exercise, but no, it's going to be clearing the garden. The skip has been a problem, and we've had problem with calling it a skip because they call them containers, so I'm not going to call it a skip-tainer, and we can't get one. There are 3 in the area, they're all full, nobody's emptying them, so we can't get one up here yet. I'm going to have to move on from here to my next destination. Not going home yet, but I'm not coming back here. So Colin has kindly said he'll supervise getting a skip, which means that he'll have to be the labour to fill it, which means I've managed to opt out. I didn't mean to, I meant to be here helping, but c'est la vie, as they say in some country or other. So there we are. Oh, you should have a look round before we go. We'll do a little tour of the outside and also remind you of how we're getting on with the inside. And I do have some news on that, in that the other day I had Stefan, who, if you watched our development last year, Stefan was the guy who did all the concreting and plastering and all that stuff. He's been and given a quote for putting us a floor in the bathroom. I always think that's a good start, something to walk on, and we build up from that. There's a lot to do in the bathroom, including the wiring, the plumbing, and just about everything really. But we're getting started with that, and I shall look forward to seeing how far he gets. Looking round the outside plot, you can see there are 2 types of waste to get rid of. The skip that's needed is for all the old building materials, and the gardener is needed for all the shrubbery, weeds and whatever else we need pulling up. Push me away. On the inside, and starting in the bathroom extension, you can see this is where all the rubble's been left, so that needs clearing out first, and then Stefan will come in with his team and start to concrete the floor. We'll take a walk around the rest of the house while we're here, and as you can see there's still a lot of finishing needs doing, but we definitely get that nice feeling from the inside. It's open plan, we wander around, we have the views out, and we're looking forward to one day being able to move in. One final look round and then we'll just pop over to Colin's house. He's been doing a lot of work there himself.
They don't know what's that. They don't know what's that. They never escape. No. They don't know what's that. They don't know what's that. They never escape. No.
I just couldn't resist filming these downpipes because I don't think I've ever seen them brand new and how shiny they are. After a few months they become weathered and quite dull looking, so here we are, brand new shiny pipes, lovely. You may also notice that some of the old windows are still in, but a lot of them have been replaced with modern double glazing. Some neighbours of Colin's recently moved away from the area and they left a dog behind, so guess who's adopted the dog? Or rather, the dog has adopted Colin. Colin made a short trip back to the UK while I was still in Bulgaria, and because he drives places and takes his car, he was able to use the ferry from Svishtov. When you get to Romania on this particular ferry, there's no public transport, so that's the reason I don't use it. But Colin has provided me with this video, which he made on the way over the River Danube. The trucks come down the ramp onto the ferry and park alongside each other, ready to get off on the other side, and Colin's car looks a little lonely out there on his own. As they pull away from the docks, you see some of the well-known landmarks in Svishtov from a totally different perspective. Davey is the driver on this trip up to Bucharest Airport, and neither Colin nor I think much of that airport, but it is the shortest route and the cheapest way back to Liverpool. So the ferry pulls into Zimnica and they can start the shortish road trip up to Bucharest Airport. There isn't much leeway on this ramp up to dry land and the trucks take up the full width of it, so it's important to make sure that the ferry doesn't move, and this is done by locking a metal bar in place. Ruth and I have moved on to Rusa. We're going to spend a few days there, but Colin only spent a few days in the UK, and he's back now in Oresh, and he agreed, as we said earlier, to look after my house while I'm away. And the first thing was the clearance of the garden. New handyman Tim has cleared the garden, and Colin's up there with the camera to film the results. So as you can see, it's now nice and clear, and you can see what you're doing again. You can see where my building supplies are and so on. And you may also notice that the views down into the valley are obscured by cloud. There's a lot of low-lying cloud on this particular day. There's a clear run up the steps now for the tradesmen to come in, although they tend to use the driveway entrance. You'll see that the building materials are still lying around. We still haven't got a skip or receptacle or whatever they were going to call it, but at least we have some work going on inside the house. The metal grids to reinforce the concrete have been delivered a few days earlier, and they're already in place. You'll see those in a moment. And here comes the tip. That is to say, here comes the truck to tip its load. I was both amused and impressed by the way they'd purpose-built a ramp to get the materials into the house. And now we can see the work that was done a few days ago. The metal grids are held in place by these concrete blobs, and the blobs have been levelled, of course, by Stefan with his laser device. Colin was telling me that the weather has gone very cold now in Oresh, but it's still a nice bright sunny day, and that's all they really need. They wouldn't be attempting this in a storm, obviously, so they prepare the ramp and get started, and apparently the concreting of the floor is best if it's all done in one day, so a long day ahead. And this is the process as seen from inside the house. They fill the wheelbarrow, they bring it up the ramp into the house, and they wheel it round to the back where it's needed. And we're looking at the progress here towards the end of the day when Colin got back to see if they were going to finish in one day, and it looks like they're nearly there. And that's all we'll have from the little house in the village until 2025.